What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Brick Talk, the LEGO investing podcast. Today we are ranking every LEGO Star Wars set retiring in 2024. We're going to be putting them into a tier list. We're going to be attempting to set aside our personal biases and just analyze these sets from an investing standpoint. The source we're using for this video is the March update to the Brick Fanatics retirement list. Of course, it is early in the year. This list is always subject to change, and it probably will change. The first two sets on it are actually Brickheads, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader, 40547. Like almost all Brickheads, this is a LEGO store exclusive. Launched in May of 2022, this is going to have a 2.5-year shelf life, which is pretty long for a Brickhead. It has not had what the Mandalorian and Child had, a lot of retirement scares where people snapped them up and then it got extended. So no one has stockpiled copies and copies of this set. I think this is going to be a slam dunk.
Brickheads, because of their blockiness by design, some of them are really hard to look at and know what the character is, and I find that to be the case with this Obi-Wan. So not my favorite, but then I looked on eBay. Here's 39 with shipping. People are paying well over MSRP for this set already.
Fully 9 months before it even retires while it's still available from the LEGO store. I don't know if this is scarce or if the demand is just that strong. This is an absolute winner Lambo fire.
I'll be honest, my gut reaction, I was going to go mid-set.
You know what? This is our first set out of 32, so let's play it safe and call this what it is, a solid choice.
The next one we're looking at is 40615, the Tusken Raider, another Brickheads. It's going to have a 2-year shelf life, the standard $10. It's a 4.1 on Brickset, and here it is for $16 shipped, about $18 shipped. So this is another Brickheads that's already going well over MSRP. And my gut reaction on this one, you know, without looking at the data, I was very high on this Tusken Raider. But if I look at the lineup of Star Wars Brickheads, they all look really good. They're unique. They're good standout characters. They're recognizable. And as we go down this list, there isn't a single one in here that is not turning a decent return on investment. Now, the negative side is these $10 sets, you have to move a lot of inventory in order for you to, you know, make it worth your time. But Brickheads are easy to store, easy to ship. Like I said, these all look good and they're all above MSRP, including Rey, $10 to $15. Obviously, that's not a great investment, but they're all doing pretty well. And now that we've got to the Tusken Raider, it just adds to the entire lineup. And then the last thing to show you is that back in 2023, this is the entire data set for the entire year. This set got 23 mentions, only a 2.3 enthusiasm score, but 23 mentions. And then this year so far, it only has 1 mention, but an enthusiasm score of 3. Overall, I like it a lot. And looking at the data, I actually like it equally to the last Brickheads 2-pack.
But this set suffers from having been gobbled up and hoarded last year before it fell off the list. A little bit like the Mandalorian and Child Brickhead, which everyone is oh so familiar with. Fun little side note, that Mando and Child Brickhead is actually off to a pretty strong start now that it is retired.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. Obi-Wan and Darth Vader are some of the most iconic characters in all of Star Wars. The Tusken Raider is a little bit more of a fringe, like a specialty character, and while it's very cool to have this in Brickhead form, I don't think there's going to be as much demand after retirement. It does still have the LEGO Store exclusivity going for it, and the fact that it's been available on sale definitely means that you can get this set at a great price that is absolutely going to boost your ROI when it's time to sell it. Where did you say you had this set, Kevin?
I'm going with solid choice, same as the last one.
I gotta say, I'm liking the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader a lot more for the fact that it hasn't been bought up yet, but I can be agreeable today. We will place this in solid choice. All right, the next set on our list is a very old one. This set was launched all the way back in 2019. 75257 Millenium Falcon, $170 place set. I think this was $160 before the price bump. Was this on the retirement last year and then it came off?
It feels like it should have retired years ago.
It does. And I don't think this has had a lot of false retirement dates. I think this has mysteriously been left off the list. The LEGO's been telling us all along, this one's perennial. It's $170, right? We're looking at the currently available LEGO Star Wars sets between $1 to $200. Here we see this set currently going for $1 off of MSRP. 1,000 have been bought in the last month. We see some other sets here down on the list, but some other sets at the $170 price point, like the Ghost, only 600 bought in the last month. The Ghost was launched just last year in 2023, and this Falcon has 4 years of seniority on it, and yet still it is selling more than the Ghost, equal to the Gunship, more than the Razor Crest, another older set. Look at this $170 set, the Yavin 4 Temple, only 100 bought in the last month. So I think it actually makes sense, looking at these numbers all in context. I do see why LEGO has kept this set around and around. Also, why bother to design a new one if the old one is still selling well? I do think it's a little funny that the box art for this is so old that it still has the Kylo Ren 2019, what's that, Rise of Skywalker box art? So this set is a big fat, I don't know. 7 minifigures, 2 unique. The most interesting one to me, of course, is the Lando Calrissian, but this is not the iconic Empire Strikes Back Cloud City Lando. This is the sequel Lando. I don't think that's nearly as cool or as desirable for collectors. I would expect that this would undergo some kind of price growth after retirement, maybe up to $200, maybe even eventually up to $220 or something like that. But you know that as soon as this retires, if it even does this year, that another Playscale Falcon is not far behind. And so for that reason, I believe this set is firmly in the D tier.
DG, no, 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 no. Over a 5-year shelf life. And yes, the demand is there. It's selling. Whatever Millennium Falcon is on the market, it sells. It's one of the most purchased LEGO set ships. The problem is LEGO direct to consumer fills that demand 100% every time. And so the second this one leaves the market, there will be another one, and never will anybody say, you know what, let me go buy old Millennium Falcons when I can get a newer one that's probably a little better, a little more interesting. But because it's Star Wars and Millennium Falcon and the minifigures are kind of cool, like you said, I won't go all the way to dog water, but for me, I am sequel trilogy all the way.
Well, I suppose since it is a sequel set, it's a little bit fitting that this should drop down to sequel trilogy.
Next up is one of my absolute favorites, the Mos Eisley Cantina from the Master Builder series. $400, 21 minifigures, 9 of them are unique, and I do want to point out very clearly a 4.6 on Brickset. David, as you know, that is a very high rating for Brickset. It's already going pretty close to retail price, and I know some of the other sets we've looked at, they're going for above retail, but a $400 set, I do not expect that to go for above retail before it retires. So very close to retail is a very good sign. $335 with 25 shipping, $360 with 25 shipping. So when the buyer is buying the purchase price, paying for the shipping, paying for the tax, they're already right at MSRP. And if we come over here to Brick Economy and look at all of these minifigures, they are valued at $238. So doing some quick math here, $400 retail, $240 in minifigures leaves us with $160 delta. All those stats right there make me very excited about this set. If I look at my data from 2023, it was the 3rd Star Wars set on the table, and there was some very early rumors that it might retire, but those didn't last long, and still it got 21 mentions with an enthusiasm score of 2.6. And then so far this year, it already has 5 mentions with an E-score of 2.4. There are only 2 sets in the Master Builder series collection that are listed here on Brickset at least, and the other one is Betrayal on Cloud City, and that one went from 350 to 750. Now I will admit, having only one comparable is not enough, but there are some similarities, and so for me, I think this is a $750 set all day long. Top tier for me.
This is going to be harder to sell on platforms like Amazon or Walmart that have really lenient return policies. I would expect that a lot of less than savory buyers are going to be buying this, stealing out the minifigures, and then returning a package full of string cheese or whatever. So I understand a lot of people are really hyped about this set, but not everyone is considering when they compare it to Cloud City that Cloud City had a very short shelf life, and I believe it was a LEGO store exclusive. This Cantina started off as an exclusive, but since then it's become available online through Target, Walmart, of course through Amazon. So all the major retailers are selling this set online. Again, not in stores, because I think those retailers are wise and they know that this would be a high risk of theft item, and they don't want that. I think your $750 target is not unreasonable, but I think it's going to take a little while to get there, especially since a lot of big time investors are buying this set. Pretty much every investor, it seems, has their eyes on this set and is drooling over it. So I'm a little bit worried about the supply. And like you said, some people have started buying this even last year. I would imagine that if it does go on any kind of sale from Shop at Home, that would be snapped up very quickly. When I think about the minifigures adding up to 240 present day value, this is such a steal of a build for 160. This does tick that box for me me, which is that this set does seem to me to be inherently underpriced and inherently a good value for what you get in the box. But before everyone just dives in, I would take a careful look and really consider the selling side of this business. Where are you going to sell this set? If you're an Amazon seller and you have to deal with more returns, that may be a little bit of a turnoff for some people. If you're going to part this out, if you're a Bricklink store, absolutely, all day. I'd be buying all I can on a discount. So no controversy here. This set is certifiedly absolute winner Lambo Fire, but I still think it's a little overrated because it's not going to be a Cloud City 2.0.
But because of the buy-in price, I'm not buying 100. I'm not even buying 10. I'm hoping to get 4 and I'll sell them locally. And that way it makes all that easy. And I think on Marketplace 5 years from now for $700, $800, easy day. But we'll see. There's risk with all these investments.
All right. Next we have our first helmet set we're talking about today. This is of course the Darth Vader helmet 75304. This launched way back in 2021 as part of the second ever wave of helmets. So it's a little studdy. Does it remind you of any other helmets that are studdy? And how have those other studdy helmets performed? Looking at you, Stormtrooper.
Or even Boba Fett.
So studiness I don't think is a problem, even for the adult-oriented display sets. Long shelf life is a concern for this one. It's also the most expensive in the line. It's Darth Vader. What more needs to be said? If you are any level of helmet collector, you can't skip this one. You gotta have Darth Vader. So I think the collectible demand is there. Without looking at the supply and demand, I can't make too strong of a judgment. Long shelf life is definitely gonna hurt this one, but I think the cat is out of the bag on some of the early helmets. The TIE Fighter Pilot, the Stormtrooper, the Scout Trooper, the Boba Fett. LEGO investors have caught on by this point, and so I think this one might get a little bit hoarded. What do you think?
Yeah, David, I pretty much agree across the board. And if we look at eBay, so far the sales are not, both of these are under 60. Including shipping. Here's one that's 60 plus 15 of shipping, 65 including shipping, but it is a helmet. And if we look at all of the previous helmets, they've all done well. And you mentioned Boba Fett with the really long shelf life that's study. People were worried about it. It's just over a year off the shelves and it's already up to 72. And I know this isn't the eBay price, but it's approximate. And all these helmets have been able to be picked up at a good discount sometime in their life. $80, very expensive, but I'm sure we'll get a shot in the low 60s and maybe even the high 50s for a short glimpse. And if that happens, I'm picking it up because it's Darth Vader. With that said, there's not a lot of buzz around this helmet, but you have to have Darth Vader. I think some people are saying, hey, it's been out so long, anybody that wants Darth Vader already has it, but there are future collectors that are just getting into the age range. Either they've got money or they're, starting to mature to the age where they're like, all right, I love all the Star Wars movies and I now want to start collecting Lego. And I'm not worried about this helmet line running out of collectors, at least for the next 10 to 15 years, because this is a very, very good set of items for a very nice overall collection.
You are absolutely right that future collectors who get into the hobby, who miss this set, are going to look and say, yeah, I think that's worth $120. I think that's maybe even worth $150. Be having the prestige of being a sealed, retired Darth Vader helmet. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want that? This has been widely available at all kinds of retailers, even grocery stores, Zavvi, things like that. So I'm leaning a little bit toward placing this in a mid-set category because it is such a desirable character. I think it's a solid choice.
I'm right there with you. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, and I was going to say, because it's part of the helmet line, push that over to the solid choice. Now on to one that's always fun to talk about, 75308, the $240 R2-D2 that looks like an absolute meaty meatball brick. It's a mess of a set. Lego has a history of not being able to create R2-D2s that look like anything I would want to have on my shelf. So this one is terrible to me. Big pass. A big reason is because finally, this last year, Lego figured out how to make a really cool, lean, mean, proportionally accurate R2-D2. Even comes with the special Darth Malak minifigure and the little plaque, and all of this is for $100. And this last one is for $240. I don't need to spend any more time on it. Bottom of the list for me.
I didn't even fully understand how much I hated this set until I compared it with the new version. The new version is $100 lean, mean, bleep bloop machine. And by contrast, this thing just looks positively thick. At $200 3 years ago, I could have seen the appeal. But now, just look at the top of this dome. I mean, what the heck? This is the middle child of large display scale R2-D2s. We had the first UCS R2 from back in like 2014. That one got off to a strong start, but the minute this was announced, down, down, down into the dumpster. This one won't even get a chance at retirement before becoming obsolete. Nothing more needs to be said. This set is absolute dog water.
Bingo!
Moving on to our next set, the UCS AT-AT 75313. This is one of the coolest LEGO Star Wars sets of all time, at the biggest of scales. I'm sure LEGO had been wanting to make this set for a long time, but it wasn't even possible until recently because they hadn't yet developed the elements that would allow this set to stand under its own weight. This set looks amazing, but like we've talked about before, the Ultimate Collector Series is getting pretty crowded, and with a couple of sets at the $600 to $800 range, this one looks to be selling the least, and so LEGO is retiring it. It's a very limited subset of fans that are going to be able to afford this set even at retail price, much less at $1,200 or $1,400. Because of the huge buy-in price, because I'm not even sure it will retire, I'm cooling off a little bit on this set.
You're cooling off a little bit, and I'm warming up slightly. Now, not for me. I am not investing in this set. It is way too much of a buy-in price. But if we go over here and look at eBay, people are already paying, you know, in the low 700s. That's not far off of the MSRP, and it's minifigure scaled, which is very cool for a UCS ship. On paper, that sounds great. You buy one unit and you make $500-$600 profit on one transaction. The downside is that it's high risk because of the buy-in price, high risk, high reward potentially. The other downside is that you're going to be getting less than 100% return on investment. I think 100% ROI would be lucky on this set because that's pushing it into the $1,800-$1,900 range. I'd rather put $850 into a bunch of $75 to $150 sets and hopefully get 2 to 2.5 times return on the investment.
The opportunity cost is just too high. I have no doubt this will one day be a $2,000 set, but it might take a lot of years to get there. So for personal build, this is absolutely a top tier set, but as a LEGO investment, it's just too big. This is going to be a mid set.
Ooh, you went mid set. That's interesting. So I was even going to go D tier on it, but I'm good with mid set. This is one of the few that I had on my radar that may not actually retire at the end of this year. And if it doesn't retire at the end of this year, then the discussion changes.
This is also the first $850 MSRP UCS set to retire. On something like last year's Gunship at $400, to me there's a lot of room to grow. There's a lot less room to grow when talking about the UCS AT-AT.
Now back to a place set, the Obi-Wan Kenobi's Jedi Starfighter 75333. It's a $30 set, always on sale for $24. It was supposed to retire at the end of last year, and a lot of people were very confident. So this was one that was a surprise that got extended a year, and that's going to kill this set, in my opinion. The Starfighter's pretty good. It's Obi-Wan's, you know, it's one of the best. It's the one we all want. There have been previous versions. For me, the big story was the Tenoo minifigure, but now that it's going to be out for an extra year, everybody's going to have a good shot at getting it. If we look at Brick Economy, that minifigure is only going for $760. I would have thought, you know, $12, maybe even close to $15. So that's a little disappointing. Because of all of that, this is a D tier set for me.
Yeah, I was one of those who picked up quite a few copies of these for investment last year. They have gotten case packed into a box and filed away into cold storage. Completely agree. Getting extended for a year is going to significantly hurt this one. Looking at past Jedi Starfighters and averaging out those returns, it is a pretty decent return on investment. The exclusive minifigures are going to be the saving grace for this set. If it had retired last year, this would have been at the top end of a solid choice, but now with its longer than average shelf life, I have to drop this no higher than mid set.
Yeah, and I was saying D tier, bottom of mid set. Totally concur.
Moving on then, our next UCS set, 75341, Luke's Landspeeder. This set is a living, breathing meme. We were just talking about a minifig scale UCS set. This one is larger than minifig scale. Makes no sense at all. And you know what else doesn't make sense at all? Is that this set is not done in sand red, which would be the perfect color for it. At $200, this was already not a great value, and since the price increased to $240, no chance at all. It's selling on the secondary market under $150 most of the time. I saw Amazon put this on $150 flash deal or something like that, and I checked back for days and days. It took many, many days to sell out at $150. So this is a case where if enough of the community is getting this set below the MSRP, that sort of becomes the new MSRP. And so I think if you're buying this set for investment at $150, you could maybe see some growth up to $200, maybe one day up to $250. But by the time you pay fees and shipping, it's nothing but a waste of time. This set is dog water.
Well, hold on. You can leave it there for a second. But me personally, I love this set for a personal collection, not for investing, but I really like it. I know it's a living meme. I know it's the wrong size, but it's cool looking. It's a Landspeeder. It's not that expensive for a UCS set. I realize that it's overpriced, but you mentioned we've been able to get it on really good discount. But I actually think it's going to be a $300 set, maybe even $350 in like 8 years. And I actually like the color choice. It makes it look a little dusty to me. It makes it look like it's been run around on Tatooine, and I can't quite go dog water. I would go D tier, but that's like bottom of D tier, and that's assuming that we're going to be able to get it for $130.
I can't agree with you on this one. What other UCS set fails to sell at 37% off? This set is staying exactly where it is. It's gathering Tatooine dust in the bottom of the dog water tier, in the back of any investor's closets who bought this.
You're just making my point for me. There is going to be no supply. And I'm not buying the argument that there's going to be no demand. There won't be a lot of demand, but there will be some demand for a UCS Landspeeder, and the supply is going to be basically zilch. We're going to have to come back. I'm okay leaving it in dog water, but you got to move it in front of that R2-D2 for me at least. I mean, let's get the R2-D2 down there where it belongs.
There's 32 sets to invest in this year, and you choose to invest in this one? That's all I have to say.
I might get one or two.
All right, moving on.
It's called diversification, David.
I never want to see this again in my life.
Next up is a good one. Boba Fett's Microfighter 75344, the $10 price point. If we go over here to eBay, it's selling for about MSRP. It's been on sale for like $5.99, I think, at one point, $6.79. So we've been able to get it cheap. I actually did pick up 30 of them at the $6.79 price just for the fun of it. I actually think they're going to do pretty well. I'm surprised, though, that this Boba Fett minifigure is only $4. I realize it's in a cheap set, but I would have thought it'd be a little bit more, and I think that price will go up in the future. Now, I do recognize that this minifigure is not very accurate. There have been a lot of complaints, but it's kind of like an error note, if you will, if you're collecting money, right? Like this one is a little bit of an error, makes it kind of unique. The minifigure goes fully inside of the Microfighter, which I love. So, oh, and by the way, the little Microfighter Slave 1 is super cool too. So I'm very high on this set.
I am also very high on this set. Did you say you picked up 3 of these or 30?
30.
Yeah, so that kind of proves my point. This is a set you have to buy many, many dozens and dozens of to make any significant dollar gain on. Let's say you can pick these up for $7, $8 and sell them for $20 one day. After fees, you've maybe doubled your money, but you've spent all that time to make $7. For a long time, the conventional wisdom in Lego investing was that anything Slave 1, home run. Anything Boba Fett, home run. This has been the conventional wisdom for so long that it might start to unprove itself. And once this is no longer available by the end of this year, it will have been hoarded and hoarded and hoarded. And it is a strong seller. And I think if you're willing to hold this for a couple of years, I think this could easily be a $25, $30, $40 Microfighter on Amazon. I think at the $6 price, it's hard to lose. And this is the opposite of the problem with the Cantina, where you're worried about returns. You get a return of the Microfighter, who cares? I have 200 more. I love it too. In terms of percentage ROI, this is absolute winner Lambo fire. But because it's a smaller price point and it has the potential to waste a ton of your time for not very much dollar profit, we're going to knock it down to tier. We're going to put it as a solid choice.
Totally agree. Do we think it goes below Darth Vader and Tusken Raider, or maybe somewhere in the middle there?
Well, it's not an exclusive, so maybe we'll pop it ahead of the Vader.
I agree with that. When you were talking there, I was thinking to myself, he's talking himself into that whole overthinking it, like you mentioned a few minutes ago. And I was going to say, wait, David, don't overcomplicate it. Yeah, it'll be hoarded. Yeah, maybe, the talk, makes it so they're not good investment anymore. Keep it simple. It's the first Slave 1 Microfighter, and it's Boba Fett with a great minifigure.
You're right. And because I'm thinking on Amazon, I'm going to bump this up to an absolute winner, Lambo fire.
Oh man, I sold you. Look at me go.
Coming up next, we have the first battle pack on this list, and I do believe this one is going to retire at the end of this year. Set number 75345, the 501st Clone Troopers battle pack, not to be confused with the 75280 501st Clone Troopers. That set launched in 2020, retired at the end of 2022. Everyone complained complain about it being overhoarded, and oh, wouldn't you know it, it's already doubled in price after just a year of retirement. This is more of the conventional battle pack size. While it does have some of those dreaded helmet holes, this is the most iconic Clone Legion. New fans who get into the hobby next year or the year after are definitely going to need this set. The proof is in the pudding. All clone battle packs do amazingly despite how overhoarded they are. This set is top tier. Absolute winner, Lamborghini, Fuego. I don't even need to see the eBay, because whatever this is selling for now on shelves, as soon as it retires, this is easily $25. Very quickly after that, it's $30.
So I agree with everything you're saying, but I'm not going Lambo Fire on this one. And honestly, that might be more of my own personal bias than the data. I'm just feeling a little bit battle pack fatigue right now. With this one, the build is an absolute throwaway. It is terrible junk. We're going to look at another one soon where I actually like the little build that comes with it. You mentioned the helmet holes, but notice 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, 4 out of 4 of these minifigures are actually utilizing the helmet holes. So win for the helmet holes right there. I can't quite go to the top tier, but you can convince me if that's where we got to be.
Nope, we got to be top tier, and here's why. I will point out that the last 501st Battle Pack had a 3-year shelf life. This one has a 2-year shelf life. This is as big of a slam dunk as you will ever find. Similar to the Slave one, it's a smaller price point, so you're going to have to move a lot of units. For me, the limiting factor on this set is just going to be how many can I get. Of course, if I can find them lower than 16 bucks, I would take it, but I'm gobbling up as much as I can. I think this is a great use of your budget. You can pick up at 20% off 6 of these for 100 bucks. Absolute slam dunk. It's actually going to go first place in Lambo Fire tier.
First place? I was about to say you convinced me on Lambo Fire, but now you're going first place?
Everyone was so worried about last year's Clone Battle Pack, and that has turned into a slam dunk.
You talking about this guy right here?
Yeah, that guy right there.
That guy right there.
That guy right there. Well, tell you what, this guy right here this year is going to go with that guy right there from last year in a capital B bundle for you eBay sellers. For you Amazon sellers out there, this is a money printer set, no doubt about it. It is the top of absolute winner Lambo Fire tier. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, now that you're done sucking up on that battle pack, David, we can finally move on. Holy moly. So now it's time for 75347, the TIE Bomber. This one's high on my list. $65 is a little spendy. 4 or 3 minifigures with the Gronk, no, the Gonk droid, not the Gronk droid. That's a football player. Come on, Kevin. If we search for TIE Bombers and brick set, there's only been one other. And obviously being 20 years old, it shot up from $30 to $204. It's not going to be the same story with this new one. 2 out of the 3 minifigures are unique. I think just an overall solid Star Wars ship play scale set at the $50 to $100 price point.
Oh, I think it's a whole lot better than solid. The minifigures are throwaway on this. TIE Fighter pilot minifigs never turn out to be anything. The Vader looks all right, but he's not exclusive. The biggest selling point on this ship is, unlike a lot of the Star Wars sets we're talking about, this may not get remade for decades. By the time it retires, it will have a 2-year shelf life, but that feels to me like it's been even faster. I wasn't even considering this set in the first year, and now at the start of the second year, it's already scheduled to retire. So we'll see if this drops off, but I would be surprised if this dropped off the list. I think this is going to slip under a lot of people's noses and they're going to miss it. I personally am going to grab quite a few.
So DG, are you saying that you like that better than Asha's Cottage or a little worse than Asha's Cottage?
I am not even going to dignify that with a response.
I feel like you have to. This is a podcast where we ask each other questions. You know, I ask a question, I feel like I deserve a response.
This bundles well with the recently retired Playscale TIE Fighter. Now, of course, that will be re-released, but the TIE Interceptor coming up soon may not be released again for quite some time. I think the last Interceptor we got was 2006. So on this retirement list, we have something that hasn't been remade for 20 years. We have something that hasn't been remade for 17 years. This, my friends, is a very solid choice.
Yes, and I even think it's the top of the solid choice list.
Do you think it's more of a solid choice than these LEGO Store exclusive Brickheads?
I do, because of the price point.
Okay.
A little more bang for the buck, right?
I noticed you were so lukewarm on this Pirate Snub Fighter that you just skipped right over it. So
I skip over the Pirate Snub Fighter.
So, as you may guess, I am not hot on this set. I will say it does have a short shelf life, having been out for, by the time it retires, 20 months exactly. I suspect this might have a little bit of zombie stock because it's not selling that well. It's constantly on sale. This is from the Mandalorian series, one of the later seasons, which got a lot less buzz than the first season that took the world by storm in 2020. The set itself is fine. I just think it's going to be completely forgettable. The sales on this don't look to be that strong. It's not a very good inherent value at the MSRP of $35. So this is a pass for me.
Great analysis. It's dog water, way overpriced. There's one piece in this entire set that is of interest or value, and it's the yellow helmet with that very nice printing on it. Outside of that, dog water.
I don't know if I can put this as low as dog water, because as much as I dislike it, there's the possibility that supply is very low and it could surprise everyone. I don't feel as confident betting that this set is going to perform like nothing. I'm willing to bump it up to maybe sequel trilogy.
I can live with that, but you're going to put it ahead of the UCS Landspeeder?
Are we talking about growth from MSRP or growth from the price everybody got it at?
However you want to analyze it. No, I'm good with it being at the bottom of sequel trilogy.
We only spent 1 minute on this set and I'm already tired of talking about it. Let's move on.
On to a very interesting one, David. The Mandalorian Fang fighter versus the TIE Interceptor. $100, $957, 4 minifigures, so spot on with the price point. A solid 4.3 on Brickset, considering that the Fang fighter is a pancake and kind of a disappointment. You mentioned the TIE Interceptor. Don't get him too often. Probably not going to get another one, right away. So I'm going to go maybe upper minus on our tier list. How about you?
I'm leaning more toward the middle. I think this set is really dragged down by, as you called it, the pancake. If you split this set in half at the $50 price point, I would rate the TIE Interceptor as a wonderful set, and I don't think anyone would even be looking in the direction of the Fang fighter. This set has only been out since May of 2023. I think by retiring it this early, LEGO is telling us that this isn't selling all that well. They made it, they're ready to move on. Also, it's a $100 price point. I prefer $100 sets that are fleshed out, chunky build, not split in half like this, where you really have to ask yourself as the buyer, is the value there? And you have to do a little calculus in your head to figure it out. This may be flying under the radar because of its short shelf life. This is going to be our first D tier investment.
That short shelf life is interesting. So I did say, maybe we don't get a TIE Interceptor for another while, or maybe that short shelf life is an indication that LEGO wants to release a $50 to $70 TIE Interceptor. It could happen. I don't know what that sign is, but if it's not, and we have that short shelf life, then I'm more of the bottom of the mid-set tier.
The fact that this is a dual pack makes me nervous that they're thinking of re-releasing it, whereas the TIE Bomber being a single ship in a set makes me reasonably confident that they're not going to re-release that set anytime soon. D tier.
D tier.
Next up, we have our second helmet. This is the Clone Commander Cody, 75350. This may be a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but I do not like this set for investment. Commander Cody is a very popular minifigure. He has a little bit of a cult following. In the past, his minifigure forms have gone on to become very desirable, but this is quite different from a minifigure. This is an adult-oriented helmet. Reasons I don't like this set: number one, it's $70 for only 700 pieces and change. Not a very good value. I don't like the new helmet sets at the $70 price point. Number two, this is not a retailer exclusive. It's everywhere, increasingly at 20% off. Looking at this third-party market sales, it's not selling that high. I just think a lot of people are confusing the cult following for Cody minifigures, and they're translating that onto, well, the helmet is going to do amazing. We've also talked about how the cat is out of the bag for the helmet series. This is the sets that I think the community is getting the most wrong, and in my opinion, this is going to be a D tier LEGO investment.
Ooh, D tier, no way. All great points, but you're leaving out two critical parts of the equation. Number one, all the helmets are overpriced. We know that, but all the helmets have got great discounts. They're short. You got to be ready. You got to get them. If this helmet stays at $70, I am not investing in it ever, but it will go probably to 52 at some point, maybe even 46, 47. If it does, it's a great investment. That's part of the equation, number one, that you missed out. And the second part is every helmet in the past, even the worst ones, even the ones that had long shelf life, are all doing well on the secondary market. This one will do the same. It's part of a very, very popular collection. But like I said, you have to get it on a good sale, and we will have that opportunity. It'll probably be a very short window. Much higher than D tier. I think it's the bottom of solid choice, right next to Darth Vader.
I'm going to need much better than a 20% off discount on this set. Like you said, at 46, I might touch it. I think I'd be more comfortable somewhere under $45. I predict a long zombie stock of this set. If we look at the sales volume on Amazon, it has slowed down considerably, which tells me everyone who wants a Commander Cody helmet has gotten theirs. Of course, you have the fans that come into the hobby next year that never had the chance, but I'm willing to bump this up to maybe a mid set. No chance this is on the same level as the TIE Bomber and those exclusive Brickheads.
All right, well, we have to agree to disagree on this one, but it worked out. We average it out. we're at mid-set, so I can buy that.
So the last helmet we need to talk about that's retiring at the end of this year, the Princess Leia Boushh helmet 75351. This is a Target exclusive. This is the exact opposite of Darth Vader. Every helmet collector is going to need a Darth Vader, no question. And on the flip side, who in their right mind asked for this? This is such a niche character. I would have thought that this would have been number 50, number 100 in the helmet line. Now, I do like that it's a Target exclusive. It's a lot different than the others, but looking at the sales data, I'm not very encouraged. I think just being a Target exclusive is not going to be enough. And to me, this is a mid set. Where do you have it?
For me, exact same comments as the Commander Cody helmet. It's a solid choice set for me. Remember, both of these came out in March of 23, so just over a year and a half shelf life. I'm not saying all in on the helmets, but when you get the really good discounts, so this one too, in the mid to upper 40s, I'm totally comfortable with that. So solid choice for me. I don't want it for my own collection, but completionists absolutely want it. It's so ugly that it's going to be popular. Solid choice for me.
I don't know how many helmet completionists there are out there, but I would bet there's more Lego investors investing in this than there are those completionists. I'm going to put this just a hair above Cody because of the Target exclusivity, but this is no higher than mid.
I'm okay with that. The first of the two dioramas we need to talk about, Emperor's Throne Room, $100, 807 pieces. 3 really good minifigures, but only one of them is exclusive. Solid 4.4 on Brickset. As you know, David, I love the dioramas. I know you are cool, mediocre on the dioramas. If we look at the others that have already retired, they're not doing anything exceptional yet. And I know these aren't eBay prices, so they're just approximate, but all 3 of these are showing less than MSRP on Brickset, the 3 that have already retired. But we were able to get all 3 of them at times for about 40% off. We are getting more in the series. We've got the Endor Speeder Chase we'll talk about in a minute. And then we've also got there it is, the Pod Race diorama. It looks pretty good. There's something I like about that. I don't have the data to back it up, but my hunch is very strong that these are going to be good. Probably a little bit of a slower burn to get them going in retirement, but someday, somewhere, people are going to look back and say, wait a minute, I can get a nice little build of a great scene that sucks me in and that has minifigures on top of it. Not all of them, but most of them that have minifigures. And if we go to my data table from 2023, the Throne Room, only 10 mentions, but an E-score of 2.5. And then in 24, only 1 mention, but a top enthusiasm score of 3.0. So for me, I'm not going absolutely awesome Lambo Fire top tier, but I'm definitely going to the bottom end of the next tier. And my caveat is I'm not buying this unless I get it for about $60.
All the dioramas are overpriced. This is one of the most egregiously overpriced. Actually, maybe the Death Star Trench Run is the worst, since that one doesn't even contain minifigures, but I do want to point out the Death Star Trench Run is currently available at Barnes & Noble, 25% off for $52, 3 months after retirement as we record this, and it is not selling out. I think something similar might happen with the other most egregiously overpriced dioramas, like this one right here. It's just not going to do well. It's so overpriced, and like you say, if everyone is picking them up for $70 or even at $60, it's going to take forever to go over that $100 MSRP. This is D tier.
No, not D tier. It's definitely bottom end of solid choice.
There is no chance that I'm putting this with the TIE Bomber, any of these Brickheads, or the Vader helmet. This is mid-set at best. And looking at our selection of sets in mid-set, I don't think this has a place. This goes in the top end of D tier.
No.
Well, the next diorama we have to talk about, 75353 Endor Speeder Chase, launched at the same time. I will say the speeder builds look pretty good on this. All 3 of the minifigures also look good. This does contain a lot of very good-looking Jurassic-esque plant parts, and I can't discount those trees. What the heck kind of quote is this? Quick, jam their comm links, center switch. Could they have picked a worse quote? That's such a throwaway line. In fact, I'm surprised that line didn't get cut in the edit. That is such a weak line. This is the opposite of iconic. Now with the trash compactor diorama, that's the kind of quote we need. We're all gonna come out a lot thinner. It's funny, it's delivered by Harrison Ford. Personally, I like the color palette on this set a lot better than some of the other dioramas, but just like the other ones, it's too overpriced. I think at 40% off, it could make a decent investment, but anything less than that, I'm not touching it.
Yep, I hear you, David, and I have the same comments on this one as as I do on the last one. When it goes for 40% off, I'll be getting 5 or 10 of them. I am hog wild about the dioramas. Again, you're probably saying upper D tier, lower mid set. So I can agree on mid set if you're good with that.
At 40% off of $80, $48 for the Endor speeder chase. If I know everyone else is getting them at that price, I don't even think I would buy them at 40%. I would need 50%, a little bit like the trench run. I passed that up at 40%. I did pick up a couple at 50% off, but I am not high on these dioramas, not at all. This one goes right next to its sibling in D tier.
Oh man. Next time we do one of these tier lists, I'm taking control of the mouse.
It is what it is. I'm driving today, and this is the list.
Next up is 75354, the Coruscant Guard gunship. Came out late in 23. I am really questioning if it's going to retire at the end of 24, but if it does, then I really like it. $140 for 1,083 pieces. Yeah, it's overpriced. We've talked about that all day long. It's only a 4.1 on Brickset. I think that's mostly because of the price point and because of the very bad production of one of the minifigures where this Commander Fox has pink breastplates and belt instead of white. That is not a good look. But outside of that, there's some pretty good stats for this set. It's $140 if we go to eBay, $125 with free shipping, $128, $120. So it's getting decently close. And let's look at the minifigures. $140 set, $20 for Palpatine, $23 for Commander Fox, and $17 for Padme. So that's $60 right there, about $65. Actually, there's 2 in here, so it's about $70 in minifigures already. I like the color. I'm a big fan of something that's different and unique, but still very familiar in the Star Wars universe. And so I'm not going top tier, but I'm going middle of the second tier on this one.
A 16-month shelf life just seems way too short. So as a side note, I want to say I am highly skeptical that this will actually retire at the end of the year. But for purposes of our list, we are going to assume that this set retires at the end of this year. And if this set retires at the end of this year, I would be very, very nervous that the reason that is so is that LEGO is planning another Playscale gunship in the Attack of the Clones color scheme that everyone knows and loves. This one has been scarcely discounted. I don't think we've seen it on 20% too often. I know past Playscale gunships have gone on to perform just so amazingly. I suspect this set is going to be very hard to find at a good discount, and unless you're getting it for around $100 or less, you might be able to double your money on this one, but I don't think it's going to triple and quadruple in value the way the last gunships have done. How do you feel about putting it at the top of solid choice?
I like it. And again, you and I both expressed it. The big caveat is if it doesn't retire at the end of this year, everything changes about this set.
And I can tell you one more thing. If it doesn't retire at the end of this year, those minifig values are going to go down, 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 just like we've seen with the Cantina. Wow, would you look at that? We agree on something.
Oh, man.
All right, moving on. 75356 Executor Super Star Destroyer. This set is a Walmart exclusive. For that reason, it has been very difficult to find on any kind of discount other than in-store clearance. This has never been put on sale from the Walmart website. It's possible to get it direct from LEGO by stacking some gift with purchases, double VIP, something like that. But I've noticed this set continually going out of stock at LEGO, coming back in, being on back order. I think anytime we get a decent promotion, you're going to have to be very fast with this because it's going to sell out very quickly. I just have a hunch this might even sell out earlier than the end of the year, October or November. And when it's gone, it's gone. With the new releases coming out of the midi scale ships, many of those are tragically super overpriced. This one is not so overpriced, $70, and it's actually decently large. We've only seen this set made, I think, once before in UCS form. That is an older set that's going on 10 years retired. It's a completely different price point, so it's only somewhat useful as a comparable, but this is one of, I think, the strongest sets of the year because it's a retailer exclusive, seldom put on sale, and it has collectability, the big C word, coming from some recent releases. This is a slam dunk. In my opinion, this is super hot fire. It's an absolute winner, Lamborghini fire emoji set. It goes just below the other winner, 501st Battle Pack.
Ooh, I agree on everything other than putting it below that battle pack. It's above the battle pack, but I can live with that. 1.5-year shelf life, and we're getting 3 more in this series. There haven't been many midi-scale Star Wars ships in the past. The few we have in the past have done very well. I know they're pretty old, so they're not the best comparables. It's just awesome.
Throughout its shelf life, it's been out for, what, nearly a year? Been very difficult to find. So I feel absolutely fine putting this as the second best performing LEGO investing set of this year so far. Let's see what the rest of our list has.
Now it's time for the Ghost and Phantom 2, and this is an interesting one because it came out in September of 23. No way this is going to retire at the end of 24. Not bad on price, $160 for almost 1,400 pieces, 5 minifigures, all of them are unique. All of those stats indicate that LEGO is going to make good enough money on this that they will extend it for another year. 115 already in minifigure value on a $160 set. When it came out, I was pretty skeptical because the ship doesn't look good to me. I mean, I know it's the Ghost and that's cool and everything.
I can't believe what I'm hearing.
There's just a lot. I know. And again, it's that whole art thing, right? It's in the eye of the viewer. But for me, if it's going to stay on the retirement list, it has to be top tier because of the stats. Even if I don't want it to be top tier, it has to be. I'm sure we'll put it up there, but I'm fairly confident it's going to be a new story come later this year.
This is the ultimate high risk, high reward set. If this retires at the end of this year, it's going to do so under everyone's nose. So many people are going to miss out on it. And this is going to perform just like the last Ghost, go up to $600, $700, $800, maybe even $1,000. And I think maybe there's a 20% chance at this point in the year that it is going to retire, but I would not go out and start buying this now because I think there's an 80% chance that this gets held back. This is an Amazon exclusive set, and looking at the last Amazon exclusive, the Razor Crest play set, that set got pushed back many times after investors got fooled. A lot of people stocked up on the Razor Crest. Some I'm sure have liquidated, some I'm sure are now holding for the long haul. I completely disagree on the construction. This looks so good. It's probably my favorite play set retiring this year. The engines look amazing. The color palette, the way that the angles work is much better than last year's Justifier set. Not to mention just the color palette on the Justifier was all gray. 5 out of 5 minifigures exclusive. If this retires at the end of 2024, it's just going to be too good to be true. I refuse to believe that that's so, but for purposes of our list, we are assuming that these sets are retiring. This is going to go at the top of absolute winner Lambo Fire, ahead of the 501st Battle Pack, ahead of the Executor Star Destroyer. What more can I say? The next set to talk about, the Tenoo Jedi Temple. The one saving grace on this set, that's a pretty cool print there. And like all of the 4+ sets, all the details in this set are printed parts, not stickers. 4 minifigures, all of them unique. This ties into the Young Jedi Adventures kids TV show. Now, all of us 4+ Star Wars sets are overpriced, but a lot of the late entries with the Crimson Firehawk, last year's ATST, are some of the most overpriced sets of all. I have seen this set for 40% off on Amazon, and it's not selling. I take it back. The UCS Landspeeder is not the most overpriced set this year. This one here takes the cake. And even though it has 4 unique minifigures, I don't think a lot of adult collectors are going to be going out and driving up the price of a 4+ set so they can get their hands on these minifigures. I know you can get it for 40% off, but I think even at that price, this goes in the bottom tier of LEGO investment. This is pure, unadulterated dog water.
I don't agree that it should be in the bottom tier. It should be in the sequel trilogy tier, and it's because of these 3 minifigures. They're valued at $22. Like you said, this set's heavily on discount. I like that there's color in these minifigures, and I think for those reasons, people will not necessarily go gobble up the set to get the minifigures, but I think they'll like having them in their nice minifigure wall display. I will show you, and today's my day of having props, that I did walk into Walmart and I got them for about $18. I picked up 3. That's all they had at that price. I don't know if I would pick up more.
Compared to The Mandalorian, which was this whole cultural phenomenon, this TV show, I would bet, is 1% of that. As much as these are colorful, unique minifigures, hey, 2 of them even have capes, that's pretty cool. I don't see these becoming highly collectible, and 3 of them are available in a set that everyone is gonna get on clearance for between $20, $24. I don't see the appeal. I do think you'll do okay on your copies that you got at over 50% off, but what LEGO set won't you do well on at 50% off? I'm willing to say that if you get it at 50% off, like you did, I can maybe slide this just 1 slot ahead of that Landspeeder.
Oh, you're killing me, but still below the Pirate Snub Fighter?
You think we
figures are terrible.
The Snub Fighter may be overpriced, but it's not double the price of what it should be, like the Temple.
The other battle pack that's retiring at the end of this year, Ahsoka's 332nd Clone Troopers. I mentioned earlier, most of the time the builds are no good, but in this one, the build is cool. I do like the minifigures. I like the contrast of the blue chest printing along with the orange on the helmets. And I also like the blue jetpacks. Yes, this is one where the helmet holes are not being utilized. The standard, $20. It's only a 3.9 on Brickset. I don't understand why it's so low.
I think that's just too much community outrage over helmet holes. People are completely blowing this out of proportion.
I was afraid that's what it was going to be, and I'm not prescribing by that. It's about $14, $15 in minifigure value. It's going to be decent, and I actually have a little less minifigure fatigue with this one because it's something a little different, unique, and I like the build that comes with it. So for me, I'm putting it in the second tier.
I know everyone was really mad about the Commander Vaughn in this battle pack not appearing like himself. That doesn't really bother me because named characters shouldn't be in battle packs to begin with. I think it's okay to have a slightly different looking clone trooper. I think we can use our imaginations to just imagine that that's some kind of officer or alternate clone trooper variant. So that's totally cool. I do want to mention this set launched August 1st of 23. I would be surprised if it actually retired this year. That just seems a little too short unless they had a replacement coming out. It seems uncharacteristic for LEGO to do that. So for that reason, I'm skeptical this will retire this year. But again, due to the shorter shelf life, I think this is going to be a strong performer because like you say, there's a lot of value in the box. Just the minifigures add up to $15. The last Swamp Speeder we had in a battle pack was that Kashyyyk battle pack. That one's gone on to perform amazingly. So I do think the 501st will retire at the end of this year. I really don't think that the 332nd will, but if they do indeed retire, I'm going to put them above the 501st battle pack because I think the supply is going to be even lower. The 501st is going to be a great performer, but if the 332nd retires, watch out. It's going to be a sleeper.
All right. I like that. I can buy that. And I actually think it will retire. I feel they've got the new battle pack, Battle Droid Clone Trooper, the larger one. And I think LEGO wants a lot of focus on that set. And it seems like both of these have been popular, but kind of quiet. And it just seems fitting for them to go out now.
Maybe LEGO is retiring this set because the profit margin isn't as high as it is on that $30 pack.
Yep.
Wow, so sinister, LEGO.
Ah.
And in keeping with the theme of sets I don't think will really retire, Yoda's Jedi Starfighter. This launched at the same time as the 332nd pack. This is a $35 Starfighter for only 253 pieces, a little bit like the Pirate Fighter. It's hilariously overpriced. Now, if it retires this year, that would be a very short shelf life. We can look at the last Yoda Starfighter and see that the performance has been decent on that one. So I'm kind of up in the air on this one. I don't know.
David, actually, in my opinion, the last one is not doing that well. It retired a long time ago. It was a $25 set and it's up to like $45 at best. And now that we've got this new one that came out that is basically an exact replica, just a little bit modernized, it's going to dilute the value of the last one, which means maybe it's going to be worth $35. And that's the MSRP of this new one. So I don't see where either of them can grow at this point. The minifigures are nothing special. Whether it retires or doesn't retire, honestly, makes no difference to me. It's bottom of sequel trilogy for me, even below that ugly pirate snub fighter.
A 16-month shelf life, and you're going to put it in sequel trilogy?
Yep.
I can't agree with that. I just can't get with sequel trilogy. I can put it in low D tier.
As long as it's not adjacent to either of those dioramas, then I'm okay.
Oh, either of those glorious, beautiful dioramas that you just can't stop.
Finally,
worshiping.
You're getting it. Glorious and beautiful is the right terminology to use with that.
Oh, what the heck is this thing?
Oh my gosh, now it's time for the Mandalorian Crab 75361. It's an awful set. Do we need to say much more? I mean, it's $50. You know, maybe if LEGO could have got some more ugly Technic pieces and connection elements in there. I mean, geez, what a mess. And it doesn't even come with that cool character that operates this spider crab looking thing. It is sequel trilogy tier for me all day long. The only reason it's not dog water is because the Bo-Katan minifigure at $23 is pretty cool. The rest of the set, ooh.
In defense of the spider crab thing, those short Technic axles on the exposed arms could easily have been done in red, but I think LEGO put a little extra care into this and they said, we don't want people to complain. We're going to give them those Technic axles in black. Thinking back to the ATST Raider from a few years ago, also a $50 set, also based on one fleeting episode of The Mandalorian. Are we looking at a repeat of history here, folks? I don't think so. There's one very important reason why, and that reason is right here. This Bo-Katan figure, look at that arm printing, look at that leg printing, and this scan doesn't really do it justice in any kind of regular real-world lighting. This is an all-out minifigure, and I think the value reflects that. So this could be the one saving grace. Again, high risk. This is one of the most unique-looking Star Wars sets, but to me, it doesn't even really look like a Star Wars creation. As a general rule, I don't like to invest in sets that only make one appearance in the IP. We may even see this set on a 40% discount at $30. I would definitely pick up a couple at that price to get access to that exclusive figure. This could surprise people. I'm a little bit unsure of where to place it. I'd say it's high risk. There's a chance this turns out sequel trilogy, but if that Bo-Katan takes off and remains exclusive, oh man. I think if we average out those two possibilities, we can place this firmly in the middle of D tier.
David, it's not high risk. You don't buy it and then you have no risk. You spend your money somewhere else because there's so many other sets that are a better choice. And you point out that it's really nice of Lego to not use the red pins, they use the black pins so that it looks a little better. Great of Lego to do that on a throwaway set.
I'd be very interested to know what our viewers think about this set, but it is worth pointing out, even at 40% off, $30, you could get a couple of these battle packs at 20%. What's gonna do better? Weird spider crab or one a piece of these beautiful retiring Clone Trooper battle packs? Next up, we have the other Microfighter retiring this year, and I say that because this is by far my less favorite. Set number 75363, Mandalorian N1 Starfighter Microfighter. My personal bias is gonna shine through here because I really don't like this set. The minifigure sits on top like it does in a lot of the Microfighters, not inside like it does on the Slave One. Also, this is the first Microfighter in that new price point. 88 pieces for $16. This just feels like Lego is gouging because they can. Now, recently this has finally gone on sale at 25 or 30% off. You can get this for $11 and change. That's not too bad of a price bump over the typical $10 Microfighter. So I really dislike this set, but I just can't deny the fact that it's a really, really strong seller. What's the volume? 7,000?
Yeah.
And the Slave One is 6?
Yeah.
So it's a strong seller.
Yeah, that's pretty good volume. Maybe it's my bias too, but when I saw this at the price point, I was like, heck no. The build is terrible. Grogu, fine, but there's no value in Grogu, right? Like, fun to have. I mean, the build is another pancake. The only reason I wouldn't put it in dog water is because of the arm printing on the Mando minifigure. So for me, it's a sequel trilogy tier all day long.
And if I were to listen to my personal feelings, I would also put it there. I don't think it's really fair that we have Slave One as an absolute winner, Lambo Fire, and we have this other Microfighter 5 tiers down.
Yeah, but that's because we can get the Slave One for about $6, and we're getting this other one for the N1 for about $12. I know we're only talking about $6 delta, but in terms of ROI, that eats up a ton of it. So, you know, you're making good points. That 7,000 per month on Amazon is a good number. So, I mean, I could go to D tier, but
I want this to do terribly because I hate this set, but I think it's going to surprise some people with how well it performs.
Interesting. Well, then go to mid set if that's where you're thinking.
We're going to stick it in D tier. I know where to put it. Right ahead of those. We're going to put all our overpriced sets together.
Above those dioramas, you're killing me.
Those cursed dioramas.
I love it. Now onto the other 2-pack ship set. This one is New Republic E-Wing versus Shin Hati's Starfighter. It's not the $100 price point, it's the $110 price point. A few more pieces, and it has 5 minifigures. It came out late in 2023, so another one that would be pretty suspicious if it retires at the end of 24. We've got about 4 or 5 that we've talked about. We know at least a few of those are going to retire, and then a couple of them are not. And so it's going to be figuring out which ones do, which ones don't. In 23, it got 5 mentions, a lower E-score of 2. That E-score is down because everybody knew it wasn't going to be retiring. But now at the beginning of 24, only 2 mentions, but already an enthusiasm score of 2.5. And so there is some popularity and buzz around this set. If we go to eBay, there's only 116 new copies. That's on the lower end for Star Wars sets in terms of supply on eBay. And then let's look at the minifigures like we have many other times. Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati are about where I would expect them to be. I'm surprised Morgan Elsbeth is only a 10. I would have thought that would have been a $20 minifigure because it really looks like her. She was a pretty cool character in the show.
And don't forget about the rubber ducky color scheme astromech droid.
You're so right. I love it. We put the other 2-pack in the D tier. This one is, in my opinion, a lot better than that. So I'm top of mid set or bottom of solid choice. What do you think, David?
I haven't really even looked at this set closely at all. I do think the minifigures are more unique, more collectible, and might drive the value more than the minifigures in the TIE Interceptor and Mando Fighter. So I'm willing to put it at least higher than that in D tier. I just don't like these 2 ships in one set concept. It seems like Lego experiments with these, but they don't seem to sell all that well usually, and so usually they tend to have a shorter shelf life. Maybe that means they'll be rarer. There's a lot of variables that go into this Lego investment investing thing. You know, I didn't watch the Ahsoka series. I'm not familiar with the source material, and at $110 a pop, I would hate to be wrong on this. Of course, we're going to be getting it at a decent discount. I don't have much of an opinion on this at all. I don't think I'm going to be touching this one.
Since you didn't watch the series and you don't have much of an opinion on this, then I'm going to jump in and say, let's put it at the bottom of mid-set, because I did watch the series. I liked it. I think bottom of mid-set is a good place for it.
Bottom of mid-set works for me. Our next set, 75365 Yavin 4 Rebel Base, launched in August of 23. If it retires, again, deceptively short 16-month shelf life. This is a bit of an anomaly because it's an 8+ set at this $170 price point. So this is targeted to the parents. I don't know a lot of 8-year-olds with that kind of disposable income. This was a really cool set concept that people have been asking for years. Lego finally made it with 12 minifigures, 8 unique, and yet they're taking it away from us after just 16 months on shelves. The proof is in the sales data. This set is a very weak seller, 100+ bought in the last month on Amazon. Again, it's way overpriced. No one is paying $170 for this. I know most people are picking this up 40% off on Walmart clearance for, what is that, $104?
I know I texted you that I would skip them. I actually went back and got two at $104.
I would pick them up at $104.
I didn't want to get into this set because I just don't like it, but I did want to build one for myself, buy the other one, sell it off, offset the cost of what I paid for this one, even though this is an absolutely atrocious set.
I really like the color palette on this set, but the piece usage, that tree construction, just, it's not good. This weird MIDI scale Y-wing isn't doing it for me either.
No.
I think that's a 3x3 rounded cone. Not sure if we've ever had that part before.
I still don't care.
Look at this 3-piece Y-wing turret. It's just an awkward scale. This is firmly in the middle of sequel trilogy tier.
Bingo! I didn't even give you my opinion yet, and you nailed it.
The one saving grace this set might have is 12 minifigures, 8 of them unique. Those could go on to appreciate to some kind of value, especially if they stay unique to this set that was only ever available for $170. I'm ready to move on. All right, getting toward the end of our list here. Up next, we have all 3 of the mechs: Darth Vader mech, the Boba Fett mech, and the Stormtrooper mech. The Boba Fett is my favorite. It's the most colorful. It also makes the most sense. I really like this brick-built blaster there. The Stormtrooper, somewhat more appropriate. And the Darth Vader mech just doesn't make sense. It's like he's in a straitjacket. So far, this Boba Fett figure is unique. It could be coming out in a future set, we don't know. And even if it's unique, only appearing in a $16 set, that's going to be pretty accessible. There's going to be a lot of copies of this floating out there. This is not going to be rare. So I'm not very high on the mechs. I have never invested in a mech set.
I actually was kind of excited about the Stormtrooper and the Boba Fett mech, not the Darth Vader mech. That one is just an embarrassment. But as time has passed, I have cooled on these even more. I'm definitely going to pick up one of each for my own collection. And when they go on a below $10 discount, I'm probably going to pick up 2 more of each, simply because it's the first of a new Star Wars sub-theme, and it's a very low risk because of the low price point. And I just want to have some in my back pocket.
You are a collector as well as an investor. So you're saying, I don't even care about the investment potential. I just want one for my own collection. I'm kind of feeling kind of the opposite. In the past, I was buying all of the helmets, including the ones I was less excited about, thinking I better have a relatively even number of each entry in the collection. As I try to scale my business up and I run into more operational headaches, I'm realizing from a business standpoint, that's a little bit less of a good idea. I'm a little bit of a collector. I buy a few sets for personal collection, but I'm getting away from that. I will not be touching any of these mechs.
Yeah, and I am still guilty of wanting way too many for my own collection. For me, the Darth Vader goes in dog water, the Stormtrooper goes in sequel trilogy, and Boba Fett goes in D tier. That's my call.
I can live with that.
All right, David, last of the Star Wars sets that's retiring at the end of 2024. It's one of our favorites, Chewbacca, $200, pretty darn expensive. Now, don't even begin to tell me this is dog water or even sequel trilogy. It's the next tier up, and I'll give you some examples. BB-8, $100. According to Brickset, it's $160. But
after 5 years.
Yep. But this one did not do well out of the gate, but I picked up a copy for $30 and sold it for $120. Pretty excited about that. I swear, I think we're going to get a couple of random shots for a $70 Chewbacca, and when that happens, now we're on to a good deal. And to go with Chewbacca, we've got the new R2-D2, and then, according to the rumors, we're going to get a new C-3PO. And it's interesting that this article is saying, why is the rumored C-3PO set so expensive? I think it's going to be $150. So who knows? But maybe that means it's going to have a bunch of gold lacquered painted pieces, which would be awesome. Yeah. And you put that with R2 and a $70 Chewie, it's D tier at worst.
I can't look at this with a straight face. The teeth, the narrow eye gaps, the chopped off head, the flat feet that blend in with the base. At a distance, this looks like he's in quicksand or something. The bandolier looks cool and the bowcaster's all right. I hope that they do a better job with the 3PO. That's all I'll say. Lego faces, I guess they're getting better. It's just pushing them further and further into the uncanny valley. This has recently gone down to 140 and it's not selling that well. Collectability is gonna kick in probably with this 3PO, with the new R2, maybe with more droids or characters that they do in that style. I can pull it out of dog water, but it's no higher than sequel for me.
All right, I can live with that.
And with that, it looks like our list is complete. What do you think?
Generally, I like it. Nothing other than those two fantastic dioramas jump out at me.
Keep in mind, we are rating these sets based on their investment potential, not on our personal like or dislike of them. I'd say in general, we did a pretty good job.
Well, that's easy to say now, but the problem is 5 years from now, when the data's in, are we going to be saying, we did a pretty good job?
I don't think so.
To come back to this someday and grade
I don't think we're gonna feel as good in 5 years, but it's very difficult to forecast the future. I'm gonna make one adjustment. I think that top tier is looking a little crowded. I'm gonna take what I view to be the lowest performer, the Boba Fett Microfighter, and just bump it down to solid choice. Look at that, much more photogenic.
So pretty now.
So here you have it. This is our final tier list. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below.
David, that was a lot of fun doing this. I like our list. I look forward to seeing how we did 2, 3, 5 years from now. But before we wrap up, we have to do our good set, bad set.
This pick is going to be very obvious. What are you laughing at? I know what you're thinking. You're saying, hey, the set's already retired. Retired end of the year 2023, and you would be right about that. But it is the end of March as we record this episode, and looking here on Amazon, what has popped up here? Bookshop available at MSRP, $800 bought in the last month. Looks like there's even a 5% coupon there. Look at that. I know that a lot of people picked this up on a good discount. Some even picked it up before the price increase. But when you think about the time value of money, being able to pick up this retiring modular 3 months after retirement and looking ahead to 2024, no modulars scheduled to retire. This is the last retired modular you will have the opportunity to buy for 21 months. Even at full MSRP, I'm going to be jumping on this opportunity because looking here at eBay, the set is a $200 MSRP and it's already selling pretty consistently above that. Now after fees and shipping, not much, and there's no immediate opportunity to buy at $200 today, plus tax, unless you have a tax exempt account, and to sell here because the fees and shipping are just going to eat it up. I think this set is well on its way to $300, maybe even $350 before the year is out. And if you can pick it up today at $200, that's a no-brainer. So this is a modular bookshop. We shouldn't have to justify this set anymore because the proof is in the pudding. This is a certifiably great set.
Man, oh man, I totally agree. No controversy here. Yeah, nice find. I didn't realize that was out there. I've not been looking at as much stuff to buy lately because I like to wait until later in the year. So I might go grab a couple of these. And now for my one good set, bad set, one that's been a topic a lot through the years.
Interesting choice.
Very interesting choice. And I picked it for a particular reason. So over a 5-year shelf life, it's an idea set early in its life. Everybody was super excited about. And then it was the set that was listed on the retirement list and dropped off, and then listed and then dropped off. And now it's the set that just won't retire. And so people obviously said, hey, it's over hoarded. It experienced a price increase. People are stuck with them. Don't even touch this set. But recently I've heard some people say, hey, now that we actually really think it's going to retire, that maybe now's the time to get in and start investing in this set. But I bring this up in good set, bad set, because for me, it is still a bad set for investing. And if I miss it, I miss it. But I'm just worried about way over hoarding and way too many people already owning it and having it. Now, if you're willing to hold it for 5 years, good, decent investment, I don't think it's going to do that well in my goal of 2 to 3 year hold time.
I hate to disagree with you, but I'm gonna do it. I think you're letting your emotions of potentially being embarrassed to have been fooled yet again get in the way of an amazing money-making opportunity. While I do agree it's not a good investment at the MSRP, I think if you can get it for $200 or even less, maybe $180, maybe even $160. Let's look here at the demand. 300 plus bought in the last month. How many people are still hoarding this? I don't think too many. We can multiply the $200 price by the 300 units in the last month, and that will tell us just in the last month on Amazon at this discounted price, they have sold through $60,000 worth of inventory just on this Lego Treehouse set. Oh, you can even see here on my account, purchased January 2022. Look at that. I thought I was so clever. And look at this, 5-star rating, tons of reviews, tons of volume. This is such a strong seller. That's part of the reason Lego has kept it around so long. I think a lot of people feel like you do, Kevin, and they are embarrassed to be caught holding this, and they're just swearing off it. They're traumatized to say, I'm not touching that. And I think when people do that, what I see is an opportunity.
You're absolutely right, but I'm scared. I'm scared of that one. I don't even own it. I mean, I own my own. I don't own any for investment, but I am just scared that it's gonna drag and drag and drag, because even if all those people that bought a bunch of them have already sold them out, that means they're out there somewhere. So there's a lot.
Yeah.
Tons of them are out there.
You're definitely right about that, but I think it's a cool enough set that even non-Lego fans are going to want one. I have no question about the future demand because, hey, it's sustained this much demand for 5 years. And thinking about the hoardedness, what are the biggest players hoarding? Maybe 300 sets. Maybe someone does have $60,000 in Lego Treehouses alone. They're going to sell through in 1 month at $200. So I'm actually looking at this as quite an opportunity. Now, $250 is too much to buy it at if you're investing. You would want it for no more than $200. I would want it for $180, $170, $160, or even $150. And we have seen those prices. Again, they go quickly. But at that price, this is a slam dunk Lego investment. You're calling it a bad set?
Bad set.
Oh, come back to me in 2 years. If it finally retires at the end of this year.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure it will. Again, I hope to get some. Feel free to leave your thoughts down below. Be sure to subscribe to Kevin's channel if you haven't already. We'll be back soon with more podcasts in the future.
Good fun on this one, David. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.